Hey, this is Terry Bean. We got another fun episode of Business Growth Time. We've got Andre Villeroy, who's in the fintech space, not crypto. We'll talk about him and that in a minute. But before we get into any of that, I got to introduce you to my good friend, lifelong pal, not quite high school sweetheart in any way, shape, or form, Shannon E. Johnson, where today the E definitely is standing for EOTCH.
Okay. Nobody has a clue.
Nobody has a clue. It's like an inside joke. Can you break it down for him though? Because it's still funny.
Oh, it is funny. I know. We had a great chat before this, so to get to know Andre a little bit because we both haven't met him before, and we're going to introduce you properly in a second. But anyway, Terry read his little. If you're watching this by chance, because we do record via video. Terry read his name or the name of his company wrong. So that's all it is.
That's it. Team Bjork evidently looks like Team Biatch when you hear it. That's how it is.
When you don't have the best glasses or something.
Oh, here.
I think it's age. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Didn't see that coming. So let me color this in a little bit so we can have Andre get a somewhat proper introduction. Then we're going to turn it over to you to take it a little deeper. Right. What I know about Andre is he's playing in the private equity firm. He's building some apps. He's bringing in some money to do some cool startup stuff. So he's right in between that fintech industry, right, which is hot and booming. And I'm really excited to see what kind of companies he and his LA partners are going to be going after, who they're going to be funding and learning about that startup grind a little bit. He's a father. He's got 3 kids ranging from 3 to 14. No, 15 now. 15. 12-year-old we keep hearing about. So I'm excited about that because, as we know, being an entrepreneur with kids is a whole different task. Now, we'll find out what it's like being that in LA. So, Andre, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
What? So tell us, color this in a little bit for us. Tell us about what we didn't introduce and how you got into the startup space and why PE, because that's crazy.
Well, here's the thing, man. I started off a little. I've always been a little left and center, especially even in high school, man. You know, I've always kind of had the ability, never knew why or what. But I've always had the ability to kind of see things just a little bit left, and for me, I would say where the story takes place was probably when I worked at Bank of America. It was actually after my 10-year-old brother had passed away, and then I went to work at Bank of America, and I remember that this is funny. I used to work in the corporate facility of Bank of America in customer service. So I would be on the other end, thank you for calling Bank of America. Yeah. And I remember I think it was a Saturday, and this lady called in. Now, this was back in, what was this, 2001, I believe. No. It just turned 2002. So remember, that was before, internet banking they existed, but not many people were really comfortable with it. So people would still call in. And I remember this particular caller, this lady. Now, from my perspective then, she was loaded rich. She called in to, for me to transfer funds, from one account to another. And I can remember seeing, $200,000 in this account, $100,000 in this account, another 2, 3, or, few other, $100,000 in another account. And I'm just like, what does this lady do? And automatically my mind went to, she's an investor. My mind goes, I'm sure probably her husband is, does something, with her or whatever. So what do? I asked. I said, ma'am, yeah, I have all your transaction, taken care of. I was like, ma'am, mom, I asked him, what do you invest in? This lady said, I'm not going to tell you that. I said, right. Top secret. Right. So in my mind,
oh my,
I'm like, yeah, it was a bit harsh, and but it wasn't discouraging. If anything, it piqued my interest even more. Like, okay, how do I do it? What do I have to do? So for me, it was kind of like, you guys seen that movie, Pursuit to Happiness?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've always been a Will Smith in that sense, looking, finding, what do I have to do? Do I have to stay up, 10 nights in a row? I'll do it. Do I have to go, move to another country where no one knows me in order to meet with success? I'll do it. I've always been in pursuit of that. And so for me, from there, I ended up in a space where I met someone that was actually in private equity. And she was connected to someone that was extremely deep in private equity in terms of experience, and even he was very wealthy himself. And so he started really coaching me, and he took to the interests of me. And this was actually, I'm kind of skipping a few chapters here, but this was after I invested in, my first couple properties, and so one property I had was a fourplex. It was worth, I think back then, like 700, maybe 40,000. Then I had another property that was, I believe was $400 and some $1,000. So at the time, I didn't know this. I'm like, wow, okay, that's a total, a little over $1 million. I didn't know that, never even thought to even, add it up or anything, but I had no knowledge of what I was doing. So I didn't know how to make people pay me. I didn't know how to manage property, so it wasn't that long until it all went, to the, so after that, I ended up back at the refinery. That was a big crossroad for me. I never gave up, but it was kind of, each milestone, I thought it was setting me back, but in actuality, it actually allowed me to kind of leap forward. I've lost throughout my life so much, for money, I've made. So what happened was after I ended up going back to the refinery, then I jumped back into, doing deals, and I was just very, very passionate about putting investment deals together, raising capital. I bought books, man. I anything that existed, you better believe it. I probably owned it at one point in time. And so from there, for me, I just started, I just kept getting deeper and deeper into it until, I finally started making a little bit of cash, after losing most of the deals that you put together. You gotta believe they're just not going to close. I've been in, I've entertained deals with, people that have these insane portfolios, insane. Like literally they're like, $100 million rich, on paper, and they have a project that they're, looking to fund, and, and your team has to figure out how to put this together. You have fees, you have all sorts of things. And a lot of those deals just wasn't closing for me. And, and finally I just kind of jumped out and I said, I'm just going to start my own, after, and here's the thing too, this is after, making quite a few $1 million, in the industry, but, dealing with lawsuits, for anything. We live in a world now where, man, they'll for anything. It doesn't mean that you've actually did anything wrong. It just means that, well, they can take advantage of a loophole here, and that's just what it is. And so, I don't know, man. After a while, I just finally said, you know what, I'm gonna start my own thing. And for me, I would say what I've learned, in the midst of all of this is, it's not so much of, you can't give up, but it's more or less, you have to literally start, at some point you have to hone in to what you were created to actually do. And a lot of it has to do with your trait. A lot of it has to do with, your interests, what resonates with you. And there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. They're kind of, to me, I look at an entrepreneur as someone that they're willing to kind of throw shots at any basket, trying to see what's going to work, right? That's kind of what you kind of have to do, because you don't really know what's going to work. You really don't even care. I just want to make some money. But what happen is, at some point, it'll start pointing you back to what you're really good at, which is where you're going to be most passionate at. Real estate isn't for everyone. Real estate it's not even for me, but and we actually have some companies that, we're working with in all sorts of sectors and in spaces. But yeah, that's a cram cram version.
Yeah, no, it's a great story. I mean,
you know.
I think for any entrepreneur out there, it's great to hear, you've had successes, you've had failures. The failures have made you stronger, taken you to another place. And it's always important for people to hear that because we all fail. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
If you're willing to take the risk,
If you try, exactly. You will fail.
Exactly.
You know, I've always said, man, you know what? In the art of investing, man, you know, like traditionally, man, you got to lose $1 million before you make 10. You know, you're gonna lose so much. You're gonna lose so much, but it's, you know, it's for people, and I tell people this all the time, man. You just have to be able to stand the resistance. That's what most people can't get past. You know, they want everything to be easy, and the moment they feel, anything resisting, either they'll take it as a sign of, oh, it's not meant to be. You know, that's what we do, right? You know, oh, it's not meant to be. You know, and that's the part. No, it's just the opposite. It's just the opposite. You know, wealth and prosperity in any way, shape, or form. You know, even doing what you guys do. You know, I'm sure there's all kinds of hiccups. You know, when Terry doesn't show up or Terry's late, right? You have to keep going, right?
I like that.
I'm sorry, what's gonna happen? If we do something twice, one of those 2 times, it'll be late.
It'll be Terry.
Right.
Terry.
Terry's very charming though, so he just breezes right over it, like it didn't even happen.
That's great.
Yeah, but I think the people, I guess, so, why I created, why we started Bjork was because, well, me, here's the thing. I made a lot of money and I lost a lot of money. And I know I've always been kind of valuable to a lot of people that, just throughout my life, people will come up to me that, that knows my background and, hey, I want to start a business, and it's like, that's kind of where they are. Okay, you want to start a business. Okay, so why haven't you? That's usually what I ask, okay, well, sure. What's holding you back? You have any articles filed or, where are you at? And it's always, no matter where they are, I always feel the sensation of I'm scared. And there's nothing wrong with it, but you can kind of see how, okay, this right here is going to get you. Why? Because, they may have started this, they may have started one step and, and they're looking at cost or they're looking at this or looking at that. And it's discouraging. But, and I try to tell people all the time, man, that's a natural part of success. Every single person in the world that has met with success has a story of I lost, I walked away temporarily at last 20 seconds. I got my butt back in and I just said, you know what, I got to figure this out. And that's really what it is. You have to have a master's degree that you can't get in school of figuring it out. You have to. True. And if you can, then that's what, that's what's going to carry you. I mean, this is just kind of, my basic, business ninja hat, principles that everyone that's around me, it's like, I tell my, my new crew now, it's like, listen, I'm going to challenge you beyond what you've ever been challenged, because that's the only way that we can help people, is if we're first are willing to go through anything, and be able to beat it. And then guess what? We'll be able to, give people the best versions of us. So
here's the interesting thing about what you're saying to me, right? When we have success, we go out and we celebrate the success, and then we try and figure out how to have more success. When we have failure, we sit down and go, what the hell went wrong? We dissect it. And if we learn from it, we move on, right? So success really doesn't reshape us anywhere near what failure does.
Exactly. And that's, I've told someone recently, I said, listen, it's fascinating how most people, they will move away from anything that would potentially cause them to feel that sensation of, I fail or, I failed. I tell my boys all the time, losing is a part of winning. Right. And I think that what it is for people, it's hard to wrap your mind around the concept of, falling forward. It's just a mindset, it's a mindset that and the thing is that it does require a level of focus that not many people have, but anyone can develop it. You just have to be so determined from the jump start, like, before it even occurs. You have to just be so determined from day one. Okay, I don't know what's going to take place, but whatever it is, I'm taking it head on. And that's your mental momentum, you know, and if you can harness that from the jump, well, guess what? When anything that happens, you'll be more prepared than not. Yeah, you're still going to go through the emotional roller coaster, but your mindset is already fixed. So it's kind of like, you know, it's like going into a marriage with, you know what, no matter what we go through, guess what? We listen, to death do us part. That's why I said it, right? So, you know, I don't care. You're going to make me mad. That's fine, whatever. But, you know, I'll go in another room. You know, hell, I'll even, you know, take a trip, you know, to my brother's house or something. But we're not getting a divorce. It's a mindset, you know. Right. So, and success works the same way. And in common hours, I believe, you know, in your faith, it always worked for me that way. You'll get more out. Actually, you'll get more than what you've ever even anticipated. So.
Well, and that's what people don't realize. The word decide, right, actually means to cut off, right? In size, where scissors, cut, to back away from, right? Yeah. So if you make a decision, you really can't do anything but stick with it, right? Not to say you can't pivot because you made another decision. Right. But you got to be committed to it. There's a Spotify. I've been listening to a book by Wallace D. Wattles called The Science of Being Great. And I have listened to this on loop because I've been listening to The Science of Getting Rich, which was actually his first book, over and over and over again. And then I was like, I got to go check out some of the other ones. And he's got 3 in total, all written in like 1911, 1912. Check it out. The Science of Being Great. Every damn sentence in this thing is like, oh, okay, let me think about that for a second. And the next one, it's just like dropping knowledge after knowledge after knowledge. And it's all about mindset, just like you were talking about.
Yeah, you know, and I think that, you know, and that's why, you know, another part of, you know, the company, you know, we exist to like literally stimulate. Here's the thing. We want to stimulate our economy a little different than all the other companies have. You know, I was actually talking to one of our directors on yesterday, and, you know, we were talking about, you know, educating people and, you know, and really going out to even our communities, you know, and teaching investing. You know, I don't care what it is, you need to invest in something. You know, most people, they're only taught to save. You know, and it's like, listen, you know, you're saving. Yeah, you have a decent savings account, you know, but your heart desires, you know, wealth. You'll never hit it by just saving. You know, no, you need to invest. You know, you need leverage. You need leverage. You know, investing is leverage. You know, and so, you know, there's no company or no real education that really actually teaches that, you know, unless they want you to buy their course, their real estate course, you know,
real estate investing course. Oh yeah, there's many of those. Yeah.
And see, and then here's my argument, you know, and I'll wait for someone to really, you know, get me on this. But here's the thing: everyone that, you know, that wants to invest, yes, that's usually the go-to, you know, in real estate. You know, you go to any demographic, most people, whenever you say, hey, you know, have you ever invested or would you like to invest? Their mind goes to real estate. That's all we know.
I know.
So, yeah, see, right? You know, that's all we know. And so here's the thing, you know, I feel that for the most, even myself, and myself included, I'm just not a real estate guy, you know, and to really, really prosper in real estate, I mean, you're going to really get hit really, really hard a bunch of times. And most people just won't really be able to stand that. So what we've created is, you know, here's my thing. If you really want to invest, it's better to invest in, this is where private equity kind of comes in at, you know, invest in companies that already have the infrastructure in place. But you investing in these companies that are managed properly, you know, so you're catching things on the climb. They're private, so they're not publicly traded, so you'll actually make money. It's, you know, no one has really made money with trading Apple stocks unless they have an awful lot of money. Why? Because their company can't really grow anymore. You know, their stocks, they're just going to go up and down or whatever, but you're not going to see anything that's really, sorry, my thing just keeps going up. You're not going to really see anything that's going to really make you money. You know what I'm saying? And so what we've done is we've created what happens before a company goes public? Well, yeah, almost every company raises capital privately. You just never hear about it. So, remember over the past 2 decades, what we hear, had you invested in Microsoft, back when they first started, just $1,000, you would be worth, $7 million right now. But, and I remember I used to go, well, what the hell? Well, why didn't anyone email me? Right? You're like, well,
email 1978, baby, come on, hook me up.
Exactly. I mean, it's just 1978. Like, where do you find these? Where do you go? And that's the thing. Well, it's private, and so, but that's where all the opportunities are. It's not when a company actually goes public. No, the opportunity is before they go public. And so, and that's Bjork, we're the company that manages the before, the behind the scenes, the before, when a company is still private, when you're going to make investor dividends. As an example, I just read an article, so I know I can say this because it's public knowledge, but Apple, not too long ago, just bought Uber shares. I don't quote me on this. I forget how much it is, but it's billions of dollars. It's somewhere around $10 billion or whatever. I'm like, first of all, they don't need any more money. First of all,
that's why they invested, because they're like, well, it's like putting it on the craps table at this point.
Exactly. And so I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But here's the thing: you or I couldn't invest in Uber. Why? Because they're not publicly traded, and and they just you can't. You don't even have access to it. You don't have access to it. And so right now it's beautiful because they're not private, so when a company goes, public, a whole bunch of things, happens, and the stocks just goes up and all that stuff or whatever. So, and that's how, that's usually the big play that you're waiting on, besides your investor dividends. I don't know what kind of deal they worked out, but usually, it's investor dividends. And then if the company decides to go public, it's a wrap. And 12 times out of 10, it's a wrap. Your stocks are going to go up 12 times out of 10. So, I feel that that's something that no company has really thought to really do this. And usually because whenever you talk about private equity, you're not really creating a product. It never was intended for unaccredited investors or people that may, make 70, $100,000 a year, maybe, or under. It wasn't created for them. It was created, to go after and target the big, the big wealthy, high net worth investors, individuals. And so that's why it's kind of like, well, where do we actually sit on the scale? We've literally broken all those traditional rules, the tradition, we've broken all of that. We're, yes, we're managing, these companies and their offerings, but, our investor partners, they have an average income of anywhere from, $50,000 to, $75,000 a year. And we're giving the opportunity to normal people that, have normal jobs, that can, literally take advantage of an exclusive opportunity. Well, used to be an exclusive opportunity, but, we're blowing this thing out the park, we have plans to eventually go public, but right now we're really just giving this opportunity to regular people so that they can, receive investor dividends on a monthly or quarterly basis.
Got it. Pretty cool. Yeah. That's a very cool concept.
There was a real market for that in Detroit real estate like 8 to 10 years ago. Same kind of concept. If you had a few bucks, you could pop it into with some guys that were going to manage it, go out and buy some properties. And, we were buying houses here, $5,000, $10,000 for a house, right? You spend another $8,000 in, you turn it around for 40. I mean, it was big money, or you throw somebody in there to live, and then it was residual income. So but it was accessible, right? It was accessible. People could do stuff. And that's good, man, because that's the only way that we're going to change the balance of wealth in this country is if we start allowing people to participate in the balance of wealth in this country. So good for you, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's, and honestly, it took me, and this kind of intertwines for my story, it took me, I had to get out of myself. Most people, and I don't feel that this is a bad thing, but most people, you know, when they talk about, you know, I really want to make this amount of money a year, or, you know, I want to hit this, you know, I want to hit that 1 million, you know, mark. It comes from a self-edifying, you know, place. It does, you know, and, you know, even like where I'm at now, you know, it's kind of like, well, how did I think before? I just wanted to take care of my family. You know, I just wanted to take care of my family. I wanted my sons to, you know, look at something positive in dad, you know, and take care of them. It had nothing to do with anyone else. Now it's inclusive now. Now it's not just my kids, they're taken care of, but, you know, people need me, you know, they need us. You know, there's a lot of people out there, you know, that they're struggling right here, you know, even on the company side, you know, they can't afford to go to, you know, some of the biggest, you know, broker dealers, you know, in which that's hard, you know, getting into some of those broker dealers, because it depends on, they have to be able to see that there's a way for them to make, you know, $10 billion off of you within the next 3 to 5 years. And if they can't, then, you know, they're just not going to take you. So it's very expensive. So we've made that process even easier for, you know, for companies, not in the compliance part, but on the economic side. So we're making things very affordable for people. So
I love it.
Yeah, very good. Great concept. So tell us a little more. How can people reach out to you and work with you if they have an interest in learning more about what you do?
Right. So we're still formulating that part right now. Yes, they can go to the website, byork.com. And then we will start the vetting process. We're still formulating that process because, especially on the company side, yeah, we have a compliance department where, you know, we really go through that company. We make sure that it's a company that we want to work with. We're pretty non-biased in terms of the industry. We're pretty open, you know, to almost any industry, especially in the spaces of, you know, cannabis and entertainment, you know, even agriculture in various, you know, markets. So, you know, it's all these unrelated, even one of our marketing director, you know, just, you know, thought of something. She was talking about the beauty industry and stuff. And I'm like, hey, you know, let's do it. You know, they don't really have a place. They don't have a home. You know, where do I go to raise capital? I own a business, but, you know, it's makeup. Where do I go to? You know, can I go to an investment firm? You know, can I, you know, and most people, they just stop at, okay, they think I need a loan. You know, and it's kind of, it's a little disturbing for, you know, when you're on the other side of the coin, it's like loans, who gives loans? Like, no, we don't operate that way. You know, we think in terms, no, we're going to raise some capital, you know, so we're really, yeah. But to answer your question, yeah, they can go to our website and, and sign up. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And that's, for those listening, it's just BEYORCH.com. That's okay. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows how to spell it too.
And if you put a T in there, it will not get you. It's definitely an R.
Or a P, it won't really work. It might not know what you're talking about. I'm not sure why. We're working on fixing that, because you should be able to put a T in there. You know, you should be able to, you know, yeah. You should be able to spell it like what? How do you spell it, Terry? Like BEYLI, something like.
That's it, man. Just put a T in there. You know, really, Janet has T's for everything. I just want to have T's for everything.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Awesome. No, this was great information. I think it really opens the eyes to people of, you know, there's more opportunity out there than people may know. So I really appreciate you doing that, Andre, for everyone. And definitely reach out to him if you have an interest in learning more from him. You can also find Business Growth Time at businessgrowthtime.xyz is our Facebook group. So we run a Facebook group around this, and we'd love you to join. We also have past podcast episodes. I don't even know what number we're on at this point. We're well over 100. Terry usually has the numbers down, but
I'm going to go with this is probably 119. That would be my guess.
Close. Yeah, somewhere in that range. So you can find any of the past podcast episodes at businessgrowthtime.com, and you just put /podcast or blog. That's
I want
it.
Andre to leave us with one tip, man. What's that
Okay.
one action step, Janet E. Johnson? What Andre going to tell us to do?
One tip.
Yeah.
On the which side? On the company side or the investor side?
Aspiring entrepreneurs or anyone who's looking to grow their net worth. What would you recommend they do?
First of all, go back to, I know this may sound a little cliche, but I believe it's it's a spiritual process. So the approach is, dig within yourself, and start kind of taking your time. Take your time, that way, so you're not hitting, unnecessary potholes. It's just gonna, you're gonna pay for it emotionally later. Take your time, go through the ropes. There's no quick, there's no corners that you can really cut in this, otherwise you're just going to lose your cash, so, make sure your foundation is really correct. That is everything. That's part of really what we're doing now. It's like crossing every single T. We're even putting T's on the board that wasn't really even there and crossing them, and that's really what it takes. Strong foundation, you'll stand through anything.
Awesome. Great tip. All right. Well, thank you so much, Andre, for coming on our show.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.